Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Kidder Street Noise, where it is the penultimate episode of the season, as we need to talk about the last three games, including Leeds away, Sheffield Wednesday at home, and Coventry at home, before moving on to preview the upcoming relegation all-in or death against Leicester City on Saturday lunchtime. But first, let's have a catch up. Lewis, how have you been? What have you been up to, apart from the obvious problems with Rovers? Like, what else have you been doing?
Yeah, it's bad. It's been carrying on the Premier League Roadshow, different place every week. But got a couple of weeks off now. The next one I'm doing Sheffield, and then it's finals night at the O2. So nearly there now with that, and then got some cricket to do in the summer. So
Yeah, some Aberdeen cricket. She'll have a lovely, lovely
yeah,
that time of year. Have you managed to watch any of the games recently? I know you sometimes work at the weekends. Like, how have you been like in terms of keeping up with the stuff going on the pitch?
yeah. I watched Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday because they were both on Sky, weren't they? And
Yeah,
I was obviously like everyone else very happy with how Leeds went. Sheffield Wednesday on the other hand, dismal, really, weren't it? It was just not what we were expecting. Um, After winning at Leeds, it just felt so flat, didn't it? It was such like an anti-climax, and it was just a bit of a anti-climax. Like, obviously, going down like early on wasn't ideal, but like to find the equaliser so quickly, you were thinking like, right, we're like settle into it, like calm the game down, so quieten the fans down, sort of thing, and we'll go on and win the game. But it just, I don't know, like,
collapsed.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll
that's
get
probably the word. But
we'll get into the reasons for that when we talk about the Sheffield Wednesday game. But we'll obviously start with the Leeds game. I was actually on a stag do, watching it in a pub with about 30 Rovers fans. So when that goal went in, it was just absolutely limbs everywhere all over this pub, and everyone was just like, "What the hell's going on here? Like, who are these lot?"
yeah,
And it felt at the
I
time.
ruined it for myself.
Sorry, say again.
I ruined it for myself because I forgot to turn the flash score
Oh,
notifications on.
that you are one of them people. Like, you and Dad are absolute nightmares for that. If you're watching
Yeah,
it on Sky,
normally I do, but I forgot, and yeah, kind of yeah, it's
I
ruined the
just
moment
don't
really.
understand why you have goal notifications or result notifications for Rovers. Like, you're always either watching the game or you know what's going on. So why do you need notification? Dad watches every Rovers game, and like,
To be fair though, when I'm working at weekends like I am now, which I need it then.
yeah, but you'll keep an eye on it, like in other ways. But we'll be sat watching a game on Sky, and Dad's notification will go off, and he'll look at his phone and just look at me like a, oh bloody hell. I'm like, what? There's no point watching it. The notification goes off, and I'm like, I'm not look. What you were a nightmare for it in COVID times, because obviously every game we're on telly. You were like, and then your phone would vibrate, and me and Dad would just go, and you'd be like, and then they'd be like on halfway line. I'm like, how the fuck did they score from here? How's it? Can't score
Trying to
from
work
here,
it out.
surely. Yeah, like if on bloody Chef Wednesday game, I'd have been like, Hyam's got the ball. How have we got a goal
Yeah,
notification? Passed it back to Keith. Oh, that's why. That's why.
I was this spring.
Yeah. So at the time, obviously, massive win. Just like backs to the wall performance, and Smodic. Well, Dolan comes up with a piece of magic. Smodic puts it in. Still like a lot to do from Smodic one on one. Puts it in, and I thought at that point that were it. We were safe. It were almost like this is the win to secure safety, and it was such a massive win against. Well, at the time, it looked like a massive win. I've actually put in my notes that Leeds have only won one in the last five. So like you look at the form they're in. I mean, it obviously is a big win because the 3 points is looking likely that it will keep us up, but it's not like a
It's
like I
not
don't.
given.
Yeah, like people are saying, oh well, we won at Leeds, so like this Saturday at Leicester, we could also do something there. And I'm almost like, well, is it the same? Like Leicester coming off the back of winning the league. I know they might have partied this week or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they
Pressure's off
won't.
them, and they can just kind of like enjoy it and try and put on a show for the fan title party,
Yeah,
and hopefully, from their point of view, score a few goals and so. Well, that's what they're thinking. Well, they were thinking like 3 or 4-0.
Yeah.
Lift the trophy. Happy days.
Yeah, they won't be coming into it thinking that, let's keep it tight and try and snatch one up break against Rovers. They'll be thinking, oh my God, these are crap at back. We'll get an hatful today. But yeah, at the end of the Leeds game, I thought that's it. Was safe. Obviously, we're on the stag do. I think Yates, he went and he said the celebrations are manic after the game, and like, everyone on the pitch together, which after the Bristol City game is probably what we needed. But then, obviously, we go on to Sunday's Sunday game, Sunday dinner time, Sheffield Wednesday at home. Yeah. So, and there are a lot of like, not talk or mourning in the run up to the game, but a lot of talk about the sold out Darwin end. With Sheffield Wednesday bringing 7,500, I think it was, down. What did you think of the decision by the club to sell that many tickets?
I didn't. Obviously, like going into it, there was obviously going to be that demand because of like where they are and how much they needed the points as well. But at the same time, it didn't. You kind of just giving your home advantage away, aren't you? Because they even said after full time, the players are in the interview that it feels like a home game. So then,
I mean, are they just saying that? I mean, it's a very PR statement, isn't it? I don't feel like, obviously I went to the game on Sunday, and I don't ever feel like obviously they go 1-0 up, we're wonder goal, and like their fans are like buzzing, and obviously atmosphere is amazing, but we quickly shut that down with Smodic equalising. I don't feel like up until half time and just after half time they were like the atmosphere was amazing from the Darwin end. I don't feel like until they actually got the second and third goal, I don't feel like they were spurring the team on. I think they were just as nervous as us. Does that make sense? So it wasn't like, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
You'll get a better feel for it because like you were there in person.
I can't think of many games where like there's 7,000 behind the Darwin end and they spur the team on. Like probably the Wrexham games, probably like the ones where. But even then, I mean, they've been pretty spoiled over the last 2 years with the back-to-back promotions, and I think when they got to like 3-1 and like misplaced passes, and it obviously got to 4-1, I think they were getting a bit miffed off, and it almost becomes like a negative in a way where it feels flat. And I think if they don't score the second and Rovers start creating more chances and Rovers start getting on top, then that atmosphere can soon switch. I don't think it's like a massive advantage that everyone makes out. I think at the start of the season, the club and people at the club will have looked at the league, the teams that have come down and gone, Leeds, Sheffield Wednesday are our two biggest cash cows. They're like Preston's that are going to sell out the allocation and really make a difference to the bank balance of the club. So I don't think that they'll have probably budgeted for that in the summer when the fixtures come out and said, yeah, Leeds away, that's going to be 7,000 at 30 quid a ticket. Leeds at home, sorry. Sheffield Wednesday, whatever the ticket prices are, 7,000 of them. Preston, 7,000 at £30 a ticket, and they'll have budgeted for that. So I don't think they can then, in April, say, well, actually, we're only going to sell 3,000 because you're losing like half that you budgeted for, and although we'll get onto like ticket sales and money later on in the thing,
then with that, argue that last season they'd have looked at Burnley at home and said, "Oh, we'll give them 7,000," but then, they're coming here to win the league, we'll give them 2.
I think Burnley's a bit different because of the added cost. Like they have to pay for the bubble operation and the police and like stewarding staff. I think that's slightly different. I think the costs that go up if you give Burnley the full Darwin end is nowhere near what you'd do from giving Sheffield Wednesday the full Darwin end. Like the police operation is probably nowhere near on the same scale. So I think it's like apples and oranges that a little bit. I do know what you mean. Like if it was all about money, you would give you would give the full end to Burnley when they come here. But I think like with the police operation on the day, repairing stuff the day after or the week after, like the bathrooms or whatever, they probably don't make that much money compared to selling 5,000 to Coventry or 7,000 to Sheffield Wednesday. Probably
I think it's one of those things that's just gonna split opinions on a lot. But I wasn't too happy with it, I must admit. And then later, when it came out, like in the week building up to the game, that Rovers were offering, was it £15 for the pie and hospitality deal?
Yeah.
The way, I mean, that's
just crazy.
a bit of a strange thing to do, isn't it? When nothing like that ever seems to be offered to Rovers fans.
I mean, I went down, met Brad at like 11:30 outside Blackburn End. I went to the fan zone outside Ewood. No, so we're expecting a big crowd on because it were like Sheffield Wednesday and like a relegation 6-pointer. Nice sunny afternoon. I thought might be a few more walk-ons. In the fan zone bar, there were 3 people behind the bar. One of them had their headphones in. But like, so like, there's 4 taps in there at that fan zone.
Yeah.
Because there were only 3 people, there were like 3 queues, so people like getting confused and like walking up to the empty taps and be like, "What's going on?" Like, and there were no one to serve them, and then the queues were all getting mixed up. And obviously, like usually when you queue up on the left and right, because there's 2 and 2, you go down equally. But people were coming over to the left, and then because the right were going down faster because there were 2 of them, like they were moving over to the right. And it was just a really awkward shit situation, and I just found it mad that like, one, they're not fully staffed for a game like that, and that the people serving them. I mean, I saw it in, was it Chorley, where they've got the filling the pints up from the bottom of the glass, like the automatic pint pullers.
Yeah.
I just thought, like, if you give the people who work at the concourse at Ewood that technology, their head will explode. That's like giving cavemen fire for the first time. They just will not be able, they'll be having it, the cup will be upside down, it'll be filling from the top, they'll have to turn it around and splash it everywhere.
And it'll completely fall off on
The eyes be rolling it back at head, they'll be gone. So yeah, it wasn't a great experience. The seat, I mean, I sat in your seat, and I don't know if it's different from the row in front, but I had no leg room. I had to turn to the side to like sit down. And obviously, like, I'm quite tall, so it makes sense that I'd have less leg room than normal people. But I can't wait for safe standing to come in, because I'll be able to stand comfortably and not cut off blood circulation to my legs.
Let's get this crowd fund going, Rob.
Yeah. Everyone drop your fivers in, and we'll soon pay for Ewood to be safe standing. Be right. So yeah, start the game. Pers and Hyam drop an absolute clanger to give Josh Windass the goal. Pers, I don't know why he doesn't just head it out and then get back in. I think the header to Hyam was quite cute and like, but you've still got to get back into your goal at some point. He's probably 40 yards from goal. Even if Hyam keeps the ball and like plays it to one of our other players, if anyone else loses it, you're still miles away from goal. And I just think, head it out into Jack Walker, get back in your net, set up, start again. And then I also think Hyam, as the captain, as the leader, why is he not then clearing it first time and turning around to him and bollocking him and saying, get rid of it? Like, this is a tight game. Like, first 10 minutes, like, everyone knows first 10, 15 minutes, keep it tight. Like, you don't need to try. You don't need to risk stuff like that. Hell of a finish from Windass, not taking it away from him. I think when he hit it, I thought, oh, that's ambitious, and I weren't expecting it to go off the bar and in, but I mean, fair play to him to take a hit like that. And then we scored a goal, a clinical from Smodic, and I think, honestly, that is the first time in a while that I've seen a Rovers player go through one-on-one and celebrated before he scored. I don't actually remember seeing the ball go in the net, but when he like took the touch past the last defender and was like opened up onto his right foot, I was already celebrating. I was already like, this is going in. It felt like the Jordan Rose times of, it's on his right foot, he's in the box. This is a goal. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. And yeah, at 1-1 at half time, I thought this were all right. Obviously, we only needed a draw to probably knock Sheffield Wednesday out of it, or like take a bit of sting out of the survival push. but I don't feel like the second half reflected the attitude of the fans of what we needed. I don't think the players covered themselves in glory. Obviously, not just only the mistakes, but I just think that the actual attitude to the game and how they approached the second half.
It all just felt too casual, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's how I describe the actual mistake from Pers for the third goal. It's like he's just taking it as a given that he's going to make a clean contact with that and he's going to clear it.
Yeah.
Where actually that ball from Hyam is it's not the smoothest and it's it is bobbling. So why is it not? He had time to take a touch. It wasn't that desperate to clear it.
This comes back to him not being comfortable on the ball. There were a couple of times in the first half where Hayden Carter could have gone back to the keeper, and comfortably had time on the ball, but chooses to take a touch. There were times where he tried to keep it in rather than just rolling back to the keeper, trying to keep it on the line and got dispossessed. Just roll it back to your keeper. He's not. Well, I say he's not that bad of a footballer, but the third goal shows that he quite clearly is. It's just once the players start losing confidence in the goalkeeper, it's like a long way back from there. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad when the fans start getting on your back, but when the players aren't even willing to pass it back to you, when they're under pressure, you've got no chance of coming back from that. The second goal, it's poor from Smodic to give the ball away. Wharton obviously misses the tackle, which was brave of Will Vaux, that snatched it in front of him. And again, I still think they've got a lot to do to run from the halfway line, cross the ball, and then score at the back post. And it's almost like the players aren't awake to it. I watched the highlights and watched the goals back, and the winger gets back to tap it in. The guy who scores gets back to tap it in way before Britton does. And I was thinking back to the goal, Pickering's taking a throw in, just past the halfway line. Smodic obviously give it away. Where's Britton? In that position, how are you so far forward or so far ahead of play that you can't get back in time before the Sheffield Wednesday winger? Where could you have possibly been? Is it just their awareness? Is it tactical? When we talk about Coventry, we'll get onto the tactical decisions of the wing backs and stuff. But it almost felt. It felt like they wanted it more at that point when they scored the second goal. It did feel like they wanted it more. Just the 50-50 tackle where, he's just pinched it in front of Wharton. I'm not blaming Wharton, but he's got to it before him. And then the desire to get on the. How many times have we brought down the right and then someone crossed it into the back post and our players on edge of the box have not made that extra effort to get into the box or bust the gut to get on the end of it, and that's the difference. The third goal, there's a lot of mistakes in there. Hyam shouldn't be passing it back on target. That's a basic. Always pass it back wide of the net. Keeper misses it. It's a corner. Worst that could happen. For me, it's the reaction that's just absolutely awful. The fact that Pers bollocks Hyam and then Hyam just walks back to his starting position for kickoff without saying anything. It's like signs of a defeated man and a defeated team. The second he starts bollocking you for him missing the ball and the ball ending up back at net, you'd be across. No, just kick it. And then you even had an opportunity to save it after that and he'd not done anything. The fact he's trying to blame Hyam, and then there was it showed a clip of Smodic at on the halfway line, trying to G him up, and he's like, two goals.
Yeah.
That's not a tactical or a motivational thing to say to your teammates. It was just all a bit weird.
Yeah, so the thing is with Smodic's reaction, I didn't know how to read into it because obviously it's saying 2 goals, but is it just get me 2 chances, or we only need 2 goals, or was it, or he's cost us 2 goals again? Was it actually
cost us 2 goals?
Yeah, was he? Well, Was he actually like pissed off?
I mean, he's talking to his teammates. I don't think it's like he's cost us 2 goals. I think it is, but like we all know that. We all know the
Yeah.
score. Like they're bad footballers, but they're not bad at maths. They're not idiots. Like they know it's 3-1. It takes 2 goals to get back into it. But again, it's that like 2 goals to get a draw. It's I don't know. A draw's not what we wanted / needed.
It was strange that.
Yeah, it's just it's like saying something for saying's sake, and I mean it's a lack of leaders. We've said it before, haven't we? Like we don't have like a natural leadership at the club, and although Smodic has done it like by putting the ball in the net this season, he's like took the reins for most of the season. He's not the motivator clearly by his team talk. He's not the motivator of the team. And then the last 30 after that, I couldn't tell you anything that happened. I don't really remember an opportunity where I thought we should have scored. I don't remember the keeper making a great save. There were obviously 11 minutes of time added on, and honestly,
Did Smodic have? I think Smodic might have one where he put it over the bar.
yeah, I think he was offside though, wasn't he?
Was he?
He did snatch it because like the keeper came rushing out, but he puts it over the bar in front of Blackburn end.
That's the only one in my mind.
Yeah.
In that whole time, it just felt like a end of season dead rubber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we just need to like we talked about the Sunderland game, how they played like that against us, and that's how we were able to enjoy so much success that day, and that's how I felt against Sheffield Wednesday really.
Yeah, definitely. Then we go on to Coventry at home. Lots of talking points in this one. 30 attempts at goal. I honestly can't remember the last time we had 30 attempts at goal. We'll talk about the Gallagher red card. Well, the red card for the Coventry defender fouling Gallagher, Eustace red card, and then there's 5 at the back situation. First, the red card for fouling Sam Gallagher. The refs obviously give it because it's a clear goal scoring opportunity. Is it? With Sam Gallagher running through on goal? Is it a clear goal scoring opportunity?
So harsh is that, Rob?
Is it? 3 goals this season. I don't know if you've seen the Rovers chat stuff, but I think he's cost us over £100,000 a goal since he signed for us for £5 million. His stats are shockingly bad. And we've said it for a while, he works hard, but he is technically one of our worst players. And I just don't have any, like the opposite of when Smodic went through against Sheffield Wednesday and I were already celebrating. Gallagher goes through 1-on-1 and I'm already waiting for the goal kick. Or I'm trying to protect the people around me from his shot.
I think you would be very disappointed though if he didn't find the net there. He's literally burning down on goal. He's got a clear run at it, and he'd only have the keeper to beat if he was allowed to carry it. You'd be very disappointed if he didn't score from that.
His next touch could have gone anywhere. His next touch could have been a little one and like tripped over the ball. It could have been 40 yards straight into the keeper's hands. There's no way of knowing what could have happened after that. After that guy brings him down, like his next touch could be anything. I mean, it was a foul. I think it was soft, but I mean, he's done the right thing by going down because it's either a goal kick or it's a red card to them. So we'll happily take that. The Eustace red card. You said you've seen it back and you thought it was harsh.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you've seen like countless times in the past, and nothing's been given for it. So, I think it's something that you quite often see when a team, needs a goal, and the manager, away players tend to waste time in those sorts of ways, and there's been nothing. And as well, if you're going to put Palmer, to me, like they both have an equal part to play in the whole thing. So why is it not yellow for Eustace as well?
I mean, why is he getting involved? Why is he getting involved?
I know. Yeah, I understand that.
After the Leeds away game, But obviously, right, time wasting is one of the things in football. When you're 1-0 up and you're doing it, it's absolutely amazing. It's the best thing in football. Like, it can't get any funnier when they're getting annoyed at you time wasting. But when it's happening against you, it's the worst thing in football, and that's just part and parcel of football. Teams that will try and wind you up and try and time waste, but after what we did at Leeds away, how can you have that reaction to Coventry time? And time wasting, but just say it, turn and look at him and go, what the fuck are you doing? Just give us the ball. Like, he just looks like an idiot. But you getting involved and struggling to get the ball off him, and he's just like mugging you off. Like, he just looked like a clown. He looked like a tit. Like, he's grabbing Casey Palmer just trying to get the ball. Like, just leave him, make him look stupid, and then go get the ball and score. Like, what annoyed me is, like, I know we've had 30 attempts at goal, but if we were that desperate for a goal, the tactics would have changed. Like, the actions don't reflect, or like the words don't reflect I'm trying to think like the imagery actions, like how you present yourselves. It's a bit like when we were talking about FA Cup replays. Yeah. Like we were talking about FA Cup replays the other week, and I think it was not the Bournemouth manager, Brentford manager, and he was saying, like, when he drew Wolves, he was saying, "Oh well, I want a replay. It's the worst possible outcome." Well, if it's the worst possible outcome, score an own goal. Tell your keeper to score an own goal, or like when you get a corner in the last minute, send everyone up into the box. If it can't possibly be the worst possible outcome, and you've not done something to like negate that, there has to be like another option clearly. But they obviously don't want to admit that. So with Eustace, it was like, yeah, I want to get us back going. I want to get us a goal that we're desperate for, but I'm also going to keep 5 at the back and not bring on attacking players until the 85th minute, or whatever it was. I mean, I think like his assistants come out this week and talked about Coventry keeping 2 up front. That's the reason for sticking 5 at the back. I mean, surely the 2 up front makes more sense to do 4 at the back. Just have 2 centre backs, more strikers. I don't understand why you need 3 at the back and have one of them free. It just the words that, and it's not just the manager and his staff. The words from the whole club just don't match up with what they're actually doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What did you think about the decision to stay with 5 at the back?
I think it's just very stubborn, isn't it? Especially when it's not brought us any sort of success, really, in recent games at least. And when it's that kind of black and white where a win, and you save. To me, it's just like, especially get to the half time at 0-0. I think you've got to just go for it, and try something different. Because obviously, you're not creating enough clear-cut chances with the players that you have playing that way. So you got to do something. And yeah, it's just stubborn. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't happy about it, and rightly so, I think.
Yeah, I don't mind 5 at the back. I just don't think we have the personnel to do it.
Yeah, I'd go with that as well. Yeah,
and like Harry Pickering's not an attacking wing back. Let's be honest, he's not the man that's going to get foot. Like, I can understand like Harry Pickering is your perfect 4 at the back, left back, because he'll give the ball to the winger and he defends pretty well, I think, and he's quite organised at the back. 5 at the back, he doesn't really want to be in line with the back 3 because then he's too deep. He can't really go that far forward, and he's almost like stuck in like a middle ground where he's not really affecting the game both offensively and defensively. But yeah, that was very American defense. But I looked at the stats, right? So there's a stat called like goal actions created per 90. It takes like actions that you've done like to commit towards a goal or an assist per 90 minutes, and his average is 0.06 per 90. So he creates 0.06 actions per 90 that leads to a goal. Hladecki, is he called? Ipswich goalkeeper, has a goal actions per 90 of 0.07. So Ipswich goalkeeper is contributing more to goal and assist than what Harry Pickering is. Now, we can find these stats. So I'm pretty sure Rovers backroom staff have the ability to find these stats, and we'll know these stats. So, sure, like everything that tells me is that he's not an attacking wing back, and he should not be playing in a back five, and he should not be your outlet on the left hand side if you're playing a five at the back. Britain was something like 0.28, which is pretty average. I mean, Tyrese Dolan's at 0.29, so for a defensive-minded player, it's not too bad. But then, obviously, comparing it to Tyrese Dolan, whose contributions haven't been unbelievable. Compared to someone like Leif Davis, I know he's been like probably the best fullback probably the best left back in the country this, like English left back in the country this season. He's like up at like 0.7. It's like you're getting almost nearly a goal action per game off him, and you're getting a quarter, or you're getting a third of one off both Pickering and Britain. And he's obviously just coming from the left hand side. Davis has obviously got the fullback. Probably with both the fullbacks probably add up to around one goal action per game. You're going to get that from the fullbacks, so they would suit a back five and would suit that pushing on the wing backs. But when both your fullbacks are only contributing a third of an action per game, they're not the ones that you want bombing forward, and it feels very. I mean, football is becoming sports scientific. It is very data driven and a lot of analysis. And I just feel like Rovers are just behind the curve on all of them sort of things, like whether it's injuries or whether it's substitutions. Like everyone's taken off on the 60th minute. It's always like a round number. There's no like, oh, his heart rate's gone above this zone for so many minutes, so I need to take him off to rest him. It's all just like, yeah, 60th minute sounds about right. Yeah, you've been injured for a bit, so you can come on for the last 15. Yeah, it's just not very. It's just very like this very feels right rather than it is actually right.
Yeah,
and it's just whether that's through lack of investment, lack of technology, lack of I don't know what it is. But yeah, 10 men for the last half an hour for Coventry. Didn't really create much for the last half an hour. How would you sum up the game? How would you sum up your feelings after the Coventry game?
Well, I was working on Saturday, so I didn't manage to see anything of it really. Watched the highlights. I think Dolan was unlucky not to score. It was good effort really. Smollett was disappointed that chance in the first half, you know. But you can't have a goal in at all with what he's done this season.
Yeah.
You know, he is probably the one player that can miss that, and it's not justified in a way, but you know what I mean.
I think it's just because it's unusual. It's unusual for him. You like let him off, like you obviously know it's a mistake. But when people are, I mean,
he's got credit in the back.
Apparently, used to like thinks mistakes aren't problems, but when someone makes a mistake, you almost like let them off. But when they're doing it constantly, it's almost like, well, come on, like pull your finger out, kind of thing.
Yeah, with the other results, like obviously Huddersfield and Birmingham drawing, that obviously helps. It made the point a bit better, really. If it's like, you know, two teams are like still stuck down there rather than just one, you know. So that made things. But I don't think anyone was really too happy because I think the game was there for the taking, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there was a bit in the first half. I think where if Coventry had scored, would have been in the bottom three.
Yeah,
and I think that played on a lot of people's nerves inside Ewood, but it still felt kind of flat. I don't know, but it's gonna because of the season we've had, and it's hard to get like unless they're actually seeing it on the pitch. I mean, I think there was a bit after probably the Stoke game when obviously just after JDT left, there were a couple of goal kicks where they went long instead of playing it short, and like Blackburn end was like, hey, like, and everyone was a bit jovial. The atmosphere picked up a bit, and obviously we scored from the long goal kick, which Gallagher flicks on, Dolan scores, and again the atmosphere lifts even more, and it's almost like this. Everyone's seen this lift from the players and this not new style of play, because it's not really a style of play, it's kick and run, but the fans reacted to that. Where I don't think since the Stoke game, especially at home, we've seen anywhere sort of anything to give you the fans that lift. So as much as people say it was flat at Ewood, well, yeah, it's gonna be because the football's crap, and yeah. So on to Saturday, Leicester away. What do we need to happen? So
we need a point, really. But,
I mean, the message we're getting from the club is that it's in our hands, but let's be honest, we're not going to win on Saturday. It's not in our hands. It's not in our hands because we need Leicester to have a really big off day for us to win. They need to be like when they played against Plymouth at Plymouth's ground and they missed loads of sitters, and they were like, that's not in your hands. That's just them having an off day. So it's in Leicester's hands, it's in Plymouth's hands, and it's in Birmingham's hands.
And that was a totally different situation in the season as well. You know, there was still pressure was sort of ramping up then with Leeds and Ipswich chasing them. The tough away games on a Friday night. That was, I can't see us getting it. And I said that before. They might, I hope they do like prove me wrong, because I said that before we went into Leeds, but I can't see it. But you know, what do we need? We need a point.
Yeah, well, we need Plymouth or Birmingham to not win. That's the aim.
That's what we're referring to.
I mean, I put a poll on the Kidder Street Noise Twitter page today asking people what would they do if we were losing 3-0, but one of the other teams were getting beat and we're certain to stay up. Like, how would you celebrate at full time? 35% of people said already in the pub. 41% said they'd clap them and get off. 15% said limbs, and 9% said invaded pitch. The reason I asked that question is because if we got beat and we stayed up by another team, it almost feels not wrong to celebrate, because obviously we do want to stay up, we want to stay in the Championship, but it's what you're celebrating, innit? It's like this.
We shouldn't be in this situation anyway.
No.
We've gone so far backwards this season. The only feeling that I'll feel on Saturday will be relief.
Relief, yeah. Glad it's over. Yeah,
definitely,
yeah. I don't feel like I'll be like buzzing and desperate to clap them off after the brave battle. I mean, it's almost like the club's PR and club's media are like making it out like it's been this massive brave battle against relegation, and it's almost been the opposite.
Really, it's just been a season of complete failure.
Yeah. I mean, the messages I put in my notes here that like the messages from the clubs aren't matching what's happening. Harry Pickering said like the other day that it's not where we want to be and stuff like. Well, if the CEO of the club is saying we need to avoid relegation, like that's our aim for the season, fourth from bottom is where we want to be. If they're your aims, that's where you want to be. And I'm sick of this. Like, it's like the one today. Elliot Jackson tweeted it. Rovers will have someone checking the scores on the final day, but will go to Leicester with a mentality that they must do their own job. For me, you can't do both. If you're going with the mentality of...
You're mad if you're doing that.
Yeah, if you're going with the mentality that you must do your own job, the other scores don't matter. Like, and you shouldn't be checking them. But I can understand, like, the last couple of minutes you'll have people on the radio. If it looks like at one point we're going down, you want to be checking them. But it's just... It doesn't match what the want to do. And it's just... It gets to the point where you almost don't believe anything they say, or you don't have any faith in what they're coming out and telling us. You don't have any faith in the club in general. It's,
Mm.
I mean, the last section of the pod, I've got Killer Street Noise, like a summary of like we've gone from 2 years. Like this will be the end of the second season of where we recorded episodes about Rovers. When we first started the podcast with Yondal Thompson coming in, we were so optimistic and so positive about like the future of the club and where we were going to go. And now looking to next season, I'm just absolutely dreading it. I can't say under Yondal Thomason, I genuinely believe that everything was improving. Maybe like the form towards the end of his tenure, yeah, on the pitch, but I always had faith that he would get it right. And if he wasn't going to get it right on the pitch, things off the pitch were improving because of his ambition and because of his connections and what he wanted to achieve. And he was like pulling everyone else up. Now that he's gone and Eustace is in charge, on the pitch still isn't great, or you could even say you could argue it's worse. And off the pitch, it's cushy for the people off the pitch because he's not challenging them and not asking for the improvements at the same level of ambition that Yondal Thomason was asking for. And I don't think he has the same ambitions or drives that Thomason has. I feel like we're at opposite ends of the where we were when we first started the podcast. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'd go with that. It definitely feels right now that look like a million miles away from how we both felt in like the summer of like 2022 when JDT and Greg like first came in, and it just felt like a fresh start really after years of kind of not stagnating under Mowbray, but like the Mowbray tenure had like run its course really.
Yeah.
To be honest, if the club was in a position to sack him, then he probably would have been sacked the season before. You know, we had the wretched run during COVID. We won like 2 in 17 games, I think.
Yeah.
Towards the end of that, end of 2021, the lockdown season. So I feel like I tend to forget about that and think about that season where we were like in the top two, or around the top two at Christmas, and think, oh, he should have been given a new contract. And yeah, it run its course. We were only ever gonna finish where we were finishing under him. You know, mid-table might not flirt with the playoffs, but what actually get in there? I think JDT was let down. I can't get away from that conclusion really. And yeah, the future doesn't look too bright for me, I must admit.
I mean, Eustace will have to wait till at least August for his first he would win. I mean, I would say if he gets there, but we don't have the money to sack him. So if things took a turn for the worse on Saturday and we end up in League One, not just is he the man to get you up if we do go down, but the squad is... I think when we went down last time, we had obviously the dreadful start of the season under Coyle, and then Mowbray came in, and just we were unlucky with a couple of results. We ended up getting relegated on goal difference, I think it was.
Yeah, on the second most amount of points ever as well, behind Peterborough, weren't it, I think.
Yeah, but that squad, I always had like belief that the majority of them players, if they were going to stay, we'd have done all right in League One. We'd have. I always thought we were going to be favourites for promotion with that squad, and that we recruited quite well that summer. The loans we got, obviously Armstrong, Antonsen, the signings of Smallwood and stuff, definitely got us over the line in the end. The squad now, as it stands, is probably would do all right, but then it's going to get thinner. Smodic is obviously going to go. Gallagher and Dolan are going to go. I mean, it's not much of a great loss, but they'll be all right in League One, I suppose. The recruitment is going to be this buying and selling players. This, I can't think what the keyword or buzzword that they use to to promote it to the fans, but this like transfer policy that we've got, that's obviously not going to work if players are getting relegated under your custody. Match day experience will get worse and worse. The attendances will drop. Season ticket prices go up. It's just, I can't see if the worst happens on Saturday. I can't see a way back. That's a problem. Well, that's where I see. That's how.
Yeah, it's quite a depressing thought.
I know. Yeah. Sorry. Enjoy your night.
No, I think obviously we'll touch on all this in the final episode. Obviously after Saturday is done and dusted, whatever happens. Because obviously we'll want to talk about next season and season tickets, and God knows when they'll be released. That'll be quite a way off yet, because the way things seem to happen at Rovers. But
I mean, they said, didn't they, they're waiting to see the league position or like where they'd be before they announced season ticket details. But I think it's pretty much a cop out. I think they did announce them at the price that I think they're going to announce them at. Obviously, I can't confirm it, but from what I've heard and what I've spoken to people about, if they were to announce that with games to go, I think they would have got a lot of negative feedback at Ewood, and I don't think that would have helped during the during the games we've had recently at Ewood. So, but then if you just make them the right prices, then you'd have positive feedback. So it's just it's just rubbish decision making, let's be honest. Got a couple of quotes from the fans forum that took ages for the notes to be released for some reason. So Fraser Reid stated that average season ticket prices for a basket of championship clubs plus the bottom three in the Premier League and the top three in League One had risen by 8.9% over the last year when comparing the standard pricing brackets. Why is that relevant to Blackburn Rovers Football Club? Why is it relevant that other championship clubs' prices are rising by nearly 10%? Does it make a difference to us? We're paying more than everyone else anyway, so why does it matter that they're rising?
Yeah, it just feels like they're trying to justify extortionate prices, really. Yeah. So especially that's what they are for what we watch. They are too expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was like, but to me it feels like they'd have been like really happy when those figures were like released or whatever, or we've got something to kind of like argue it with. Yeah. We just kind of like pop it off. Sort of thing. Rather
than looking at how cheap can we make it to make it affordable for fans, they've looked at what other clubs are getting away with, and they've gone, yeah, we can do something similar to that. The rumour I've heard is that prices will be going up 5%. So your Blackburn End season ticket will be $449 next season, which is around a 5% increase. It's an extra £20 from last season. So yeah, like 5% of $429 is £20 and some pence.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the rumour I've heard so far. I can't obviously confirm that. Which is obviously disappointing, but they'll market it as other clubs are doing 8.9% rises, rising cost of all this lot, the stadium maintenance that they mentioned. So another quote from Fraser Reid about pricing for the 24-25 season. They wanted to come to a middle ground between meeting the expectations of fans for affordable pricing and the need to meet challenging financial targets. The club are working on the final details, with prices being released at an appropriate time after our league status was confirmed. There is no such thing as a middle ground between affordable pricing and something else. It's either affordable or it's not. You can't be half affordable. You're either affordable or you're not. I want to know what these challenging financial targets are. Because if you're selling 9,000 tickets at 429 and still losing £20 million a year, what are your targets? Like, are you meeting your financial targets? Can these financial targets be moved to make cheaper season tickets? Are they flexible? Are they dependent on certain things? Like, we've just sold an unbelievable talent for £20 million. Like, surely the financial targets can now be forgotten about for at least 2 seasons. Like, just drop them for 1 season just to sit, just take. Well, someone said, "Oh, the club don't want to take that risk to lower the prices and not get the same amount of fans." What is the risk? I could understand if we were making a profit every year and we don't want to drop into the red. But if you're already losing £20 million a year and you're happy to cover that, what is the risk? Like, you're not. The sales you're getting already and the financial stuff you're doing already isn't making a difference. Like, so what? It's just. I just feel like I'm shouting into a void all the effing time. What else did they say? Safe standing. So, John Waring asked for an update on plans to install safe standing at Ewood. LT, not sure who LT is, replied that safe standing was very much on the Sports Ground Safety Authority agenda and they could put pressure on the Safety Advisory Group to move this forward. She had confirmed that no external funding was available for this work. I think that's from like the FA and stuff, or like the EFL. Like they have different things we can give you funding for certain things we want to do, like in the community and stuff. Yeah. So any work would have to be self-funded or crowd-funded. Okay. Now, improvements on the stadium don't affect financial fair play. So what is stopping Venky's or the owners, all hail owners, from giving us £3 million and putting safe standing in the Darwin end for the away fans? I'm sure they'd appreciate the safe standing. Stewards would appreciate it. Making it a better experience for the away fans, and also certain sections of the Blackburn end where people obviously want it after the survey results. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. They did mention the fans forum that the legal case against the owners won't be affecting any funding to the club. Prove it. It was mentioned in the fans forum about £3 million of work on ground maintenance. Some of the roofs needed fixing. External painting and cleaning and general wear and tear that's happened around here that we spoke about a lot on Kidder Street Noise. Just send the money. If there's not an issue, we'll do it now. Why are we what we're waiting for? How would you feel about crowdfunding, safe standing at the ground with billionaire owners?
I think we spoke about it in the past, haven't we, when the actual survey for the fans was released and the results came back, and it's just don't feel right, does it? Like, it's not something that a professional football club in the Championship does. That feels like, to me, like something like a local non-league club would do. It should be funded by the club.
Yeah. Well, it should be funded by the owners. It should be funded by anything coming out of the club in terms of transfer budget or player sales. It should be funded by the owners, pure and simple.
Yeah.
Last quote, Steve Waggett informed the group that, as has been widely publicised, mistakes were made at the end of the January 23 transfer window. The transfer business concluded over the summer 23 window, went through smoothly with a new central transfer hub being based at the senior training centre. He was unfortunately unable to discuss the situation that had arisen at the end of the winter 24 window, which was obviously the 1st of Feb, due to it currently being an ongoing internal issue. So basically, they're all keeping quiet about it to save each other's skin, because I reckon the second they blame one person, it'll just let a whole cat out the bag. When did you get a cat?
Kind of word.
Yeah.
When did you get a cat?
But I mean, JDT was going into. I mean, the press conference that JDT was stopped from doing was obviously going into dish out dirt on people, which was stopped from doing. And I think they're probably at the same situation now, where no one really wants to accept blame, but no one wants to blame anyone else because they can quickly turn it around and throw them on the bus.
But can you see ever like future fans forums? Can you ever see that not being an ongoing internal issue? You know, they're just gonna wait and push the can, kick the can down the road, and
yeah. I mean, they're just hoping that the fans will eventually forget about it, won't they? That's what they're hoping. So yeah, I mean, the season ticket prices are obviously upsetting. I don't, I don't know what the can you hear laughing? I don't know what would happen. Like, what would you need for them to stop doing? Like, stop the season ticket prices? Because if they just announce them and they sell another 7,000, I think they'll just keep the prices the same forever. It's going to take a lot of people saying, you know what, enough's enough now. And unfortunately, I can't see that happening. Even with that, I posted today on the Kids Street Noise Twitter page, Preston season ticket cards for next season, like the early bird prices. For the cheapest, I think it was like $280, was it? Load it up so I don't get it wrong. But for the most expensive season card, it was $399, which is obviously £30 cheaper than our cheapest ticket last season. The cheapest tickets is $294, which is obviously 140 something, 155, something like that, cheaper than our cheaper season ticket. But obviously under 11s go free with that as well. I posted about that today. Someone said this is a little unfair. Rovers haven't announced the season ticket prices yet. I mean, do you expect them to be anywhere close to what Preston's ticket prices are?
Yeah, everyone was shocked, to be honest.
Yeah. And they keep. It was said in the fans forum as well that, or it might have been on Rovers chat on their podcast. Mark Kitchen said, like, every time they talk about cheaper tickets, the club turn around and say, "Oh, we've had cheaper tickets. The fans don't show up." They referenced the Coventry game where it was £15 a ticket. There was an extra 1,000 people on, extra 1,000 home fans on and stuff. I was like, but there's
the more fans have turned up, is what you say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It said it doesn't cover the losses that they get from making cheaper tickets, but why would you constantly focus on that bottom line? Like, why would you not want Ewood to be full? Especially when, like, in the past they've mentioned about Dom Hyam coming out and saying the Riverside being empty, like, isn't good to walk out to, and like the atmosphere feels flat. I don't like being booed. Stop fucking kicking it in your own net then. But like, if your own captain's saying that, surely people have to listen to him and make a change. Right, that's my ranting over. Time for you to sum up how you feel and what you thought of the fans forum minutes when it came.
I think I don't know, there's a lot of text and like after it, you didn't really feel any different about anything because nothing was kind of cleared up or
Waffle.
There's no real. Yeah, it was right. Yeah, a lot said, a lot hotter, and it's not really made anyone feel any more assured about anything, or there's nothing to take from it and think, oh well, there's at least something's going well, It just kind of like confirms what people are already like concerned about, really. But yeah, I feel like we just have spewing negativity at this point. We'll talk about all this in the final episode of the season.
Yeah, let's. I say let's look forward to Leicester. No one's gonna look forward to it. Everyone's gonna feel sick all morning during the game. People will be watching flash scores rather than the game. Try your best to enjoy it. If we stay up, let's just forget about this season, move on to next. If we go down, let's all meet at King George's Hall and cry. Alright, that's it from me. Anything else to add before we wrap up?
I think so. Strap in for Saturday and hope for the best.
Yeah. And then we'll be back next week to discuss the future. Let's discuss the future.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, can't wait. Right, I'll see you all in a bit.
See you later.